What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hindsight, a Star Wars series. I'm Josiah Leroy. With me today, John Fick, Captain Americanski himself, Seth Zielinski. Today, episode 2. We're talking about episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So if you haven't watched it already, go back, check out episode 1. We broke down everything about the Phantom Menace, kind of our reactions to it, the cast, the story, how it fits into the greater saga, as well as some of its shortcomings, to say the least. So we're going to now transition to Attack of the Clones here, as we're talking about every Star Wars movie in the lead up to Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Lots of fun here, just talking about Star Wars, which is what we do, right?
Yeah, well, the series is called Hindsight, and it's all about our feelings about the movie, kind of how we feel now in retrospect, as well as how we remember feeling at the time they came out. So it's a really cool, all-encompassing, just a revisiting and a recollecting of how we feel about these movies that mean so much to us in the lead up to Rise of Skywalker, the end of it all. So it's been great.
It has been great.
Yeah.
We look forward to doing many more of these episodes. So if you're tuning in or watching, this episode will be available on YouTube and SoundCloud and iTunes, so you can listen and or watch it. Why don't we start with John? Reactions to the film, maybe when we were growing up, and then what you think of now.
Can I just clear the air about something that happened on last week's episode?
Oh,
Is this about Darth Vader?
Here we go.
So last week, if you didn't watch the episode, you should. I made a declaration. I said something. I got caught up in the moment. We were all kind of vibing, and I just reached for something.
I want to destroy this vibe as quickly as I can.
And I said something, and I need to apologize for it. Last week, I said that The Phantom Menace is the worst Star Wars movie, and boy, was I wrong. Attack of the Clones is.
No, you were right.
Oh, was that not the apology?
No, you were right.
No,
I wasn't expecting a Vader apology, but now I am.
I was expecting. I was entitled to one, in fact.
Oh, that's what you're looking for. No. This is about this movie. Yeah, this is much worse than Phantom Menace.
No way. No chance.
It is.
We'll talk about it.
We're talking about it.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
So Attack of the Clones for the longest time, and maybe still, I'm not going to reveal just yet where it sits in my rankings, was my favorite of the prequels.
Favorite's fine. You can have a favorite thing. It's not a good movie.
Well,
it's not a good movie.
We're not in good movie territory.
We're not.
Here.
Good. That's true. That's a good point.
We're wading through something else right now, but yeah, it's about favorites, and it's about preference, and it's about feelings.
It is. I'm definitely
trust your feelings.
I'm weighing some objectivity into my viewing of these movies, going through with them again as well. Everything that all the lows that Episode 1 had, Episode 2 had as well, but it didn't have the highs of Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. And
I take some issues with those.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get to that.
Oh yeah, I definitely disagree. But
I thought it had all the same lows, the absolutely cringy acting, no chemistry between any of the actors, and the plot was pretty boring, which I think Episode 1 didn't have against it. It was a relatively. I mean, the first act was definitely very boring. I think it picked up after the fact. I think the third act of Episode 2 was just atrociously boring.
Did you say third act?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
the third act.
Okay.
The climax.
No, I literally didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
There are some points I could go into there, but do you have something you want to go into?
No,
first?
I mean,
go ahead. Come on.
Okay. Well, all right.
Blast back.
I mean, boring is the Phantom Menace word of the day. I mean, like I don't understand saying Attack of the Clones. Now, Attack of the Clones I don't hold dear. I think it's bad, everything. So I'm not going to get too fired up by this, but I do see it a little differently. Attack of the Clones, I think one of the things that it has going for it over Phantom Menace, I think Phantom Menace is a little more solid and a little more well-made in certain ways, but the tedium of Phantom Menace is the reason I place it below Attack of the Clones, because Attack of the Clones is messier. Third act, there is a lot more messiness going on, but it is more entertaining. It's an easier clip through to watch. It is. That's kind of the reason that I.
That's so odd to hear that.
I don't understand thinking.
I think it's far more entertaining,
more boring than Phantom Menace. It's definitely more entertaining.
I think it's a very monotonous, just flat tone movie the entire way through. I don't think
that's so weird to me.
I mean, certain aspects definitely, like obviously the love plot and everything.
It's a love story, and it's the worst love story I've ever seen.
Well, I don't think about the love story.
But that's what the movie is. Episode 2 is a love story.
It is.
That is what it is.
You're right, but that's not what it does well. I don't know.
No,
what
it does
well.
not.
At least
movie.
what it does better is Obi-Wan, is the Jango Fett stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Is some in comparing the villain, Darth Maul versus the villain of this movie, which is primarily Count Dooku. I feel both are underdeveloped in their own movies, but I guess I don't know. I could understand putting Darth Maul ahead of it. I personally have always been more interested in Count Dooku.
I think I'm far opposite there, which I guess maybe will sum up our opinions on both of them.
Yeah, I mean they were both kind of done justice outside of their respective movies, so that's on equal footing. Yeah, but the tedium aspect is something I can't get on board with.
So, my thought is, man, I think I saw this in theaters. I definitely saw it 3 times. I don't think I saw it 4 times. I don't recall, but I saw it in IMAX.
Man, that sour ale
That is
through me. It's extremely fruity and tart.
It's delicious.
Just like me.
It's delicious. Don't tickle Seth. It is. Oh, he's very jolty. Attack of the Clones. I love it. I'm gonna tell you right now. It's not like super high in my rankings. Which you can actually read at thegeekiverse.com, but for the sake of this episode, we're going to reveal where it sits on all of our
There's
rankings
an
at the
ongoing
end.
kind of
Yeah,
Star Wars ranking rivalry.
I
gearing
kind of
up.
dropped a
It's a
controversial bomb.
Someone drops one, John drops one, then Lou says, "No, you guys are wrong. This is the one." And then Nate says, "Yeah," and I say no, and then it's
fun. That's
tune
kind of,
into this. This is turning into
Brothers
quite
at
the
war.
Quite
that's
the
kind of
saga.
what
Yeah.
sparked the idea for this series. I think we were
Yeah.
we were all talking about these lists and the fact that Rise of Skywalker's coming up. We're like, let's just hash it out.
Let's do it. Let's talk
hash it
about these
out.
movies. So real quick, Star Wars Episode 2 in theaters. We talked about Episode 1's run. This was pretty good too. 33 weeks, 232 days. Granted, we're going back to 2002. This debuted in theaters May 16th, 2002, and it ended November 3rd. Like, it's so funny to think about
Yeah.
nowadays because movies are in theaters sorry about that, 2 to 3 months at
The
best.
thermal detonator.
And how is it 2-1 Hurricanes? Oh, anyway, so
How does that beep so many times? Is my question.
it's a thermal detonator, man. You never know. So that being said, Kelly Settinger. See, I figured I was kind of gonna get bombarded with Attack of the Clones hate here. Kelly Settinger of the Geekiverse loves Attack of the Clones, and he dropped just a few things that he wanted to say about it. So you want to start with his before we get into kind of our list?
Let's do it.
Or do you want to circle
Kelly
around?
Sendinger.
Yeah, I think we got all of our vibes here. I think Seth and I are sort of on the same page. I'm a little harsher against it than you are.
I feel like
Josiah loves it.
you guys are in yeah,
Same ballpark. I'm just more extreme in the first two.
I don't
movies,
know,
at
like
least.
different. I'm getting still a little bit different vibes. We'll hash it out here.
All right.
But Kelly, so he said the Obi-Wan as detective stuff is really solid. I did not read this. So the love story, I thought I did. The love story works better than most give it credit for because Anakin's initial awkwardness gives way as the.
No, I can't.
Wait,
I know
no.
he's not here to defend himself, but I need.
So better than most give it credit for because Anakin's initial awkwardness gives way as their experiences draw them together, and as Padme realizes how damaged he is. His line, "I'd be much too frightened to tease a senator," is terrific, he says. The Geonosis battles are electrifying. So Kelly's a little bit all over the place here.
I want to speak to a specific point before you go on.
Yep, go ahead.
The awkwardness in the love story is not warranted. It comes out of nowhere, and Anakin is never that character again. It's the opening scene. He is abrasively awkward, and that's never seen again. Young Anakin never shaded that. We never had any inkling that this was what that guy was going to be, and it comes out of nowhere, and it's just very it's not genuine. Disingenuine is the word I tried to say.
If they made a sequel to Jingle All the Way, do you think Hayden Christensen would play it?
I have a Jungle All the Way bit. We'll get to it.
So, oh, good. I'm so happy. Kelly also said, I really think the bum rap comes down to 2 things. The quote-unquote, I don't like sand line and the fireplace scene. In the former case, Lucas missed on a chance to deflect it later on. He could have had Padme, after they all escaped the execution arena, say of her scratches, I agree with you, Anakin. I don't like sand either. I don't mind that point.
I mean,
That's
isn't
great, but it didn't happen.
yeah, and the sand thing isn't a reason people think the movie's bad.
A
It's
lot of
just-
people.
No, it's a point. It's a good point.
Anytime someone who notably hates Attack of the Clones, usually not really a Star Wars fan, so really hates it, will always bring that line up.
Of course, but that's a
All the time.
meme to
I
point
mean,
to
it's
the way you overall feel about the movie.
But yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. Is it like
For me, it is.
For a lot of people, they will like people who, in my opinion, if they don't like a movie and there's kind of memes about it, and they kind of just point to this one thing and say, oh, this one line, that's why like the movie is bad, which is kind of a shallow way to look at things. Not that that's the way you're doing, but I feel like a lot of people might be looking at it like that, which I don't feel is legit. But for you, it represents something different, and that I understand.
Yeah, I mean that line just sums up the relationship and the chemistry that those two characters had to me.
Oh, okay, yeah, I just viewed it as like a meme, kind of
Which it is,
individual joke.
but
And
there's,
it is,
but there's
like,
a
it's not-
reason. There's a
not
reason
good.
it's a meme.
Okay.
So Kelly has another point here, and the fireplace scene should have ended with Padme rejecting Anakin, only for there to be another attempt on her life, which would give Anakin justification to take her away from Naboo to Tatooine. But so much of the movie works so well, I don't get the hate for it. Last thing he says, and the visual callbacks to the Searchers during the scenes where Anakin is searching for Shmi.
Kelly, two of your biggest points were things that didn't happen. How is this a good movie? How do you like this movie?
Well, those were his points, saying this is where like some of the criticism is justified, I think is what he was saying. But
I took that as here are two things that could have been great but weren't.
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, Searchers references, like even in the like Star Wars movies always have great references to classic cinema and literature, and the prequels do as well. That's something that I appreciate George Lucas doing. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, most of the movie works well. The love story, I mean, I feel like the love story is always kind of stilted and awkward through the whole thing, and
He is creepy, no doubt about it, especially in the earlier portions of the movie.
yeah,
Like extra creepy.
Yep.
See, yeah, and
but
that's-
is that his fault or the script's fault or
Well,
George Lucas's
doesn't
fault?
matter.
This is,
I
no,
saw
this
the
is
end
like what
product.
we were talking about last episode about when people say, "Oh, the Jedi Council was like cold and flat and uninteresting," and some people say, "Well, they're supposed to be like that because they're supposed to be out of touch. They're not. It's part of one of the flaws." I'm like, but is that actually in the material, or are you just kind of inferring that based on kind of your perspective on the movie? And I feel like looking at the love story that way is kind of that. And like in terms of Anakin, kind of his brokenness coming to the forefront later in the movie, I don't feel like that strengthens the love story. I do feel like it starts to strengthen. It makes his character more interesting.
Agreed.
Because that stuff just comes across as through the acting and the better than the romance stuff. But also that's just what's fascinating about Anakin is kind of that darkness. I wasn't cut.
No, you're good.
Your connection. Okay.
You're good.
But yeah, I feel like that's good, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that the love story really improves.
Yeah, that's tough for me to swallow. I came out of the gate hot. There was a lot I didn't like. Most I didn't like. There's good stuff in the movie.
So
Certainly so.
There's good stuff in the
Certainly
movie.
so.
I still watched it, and I'm like, I could be doing something worse.
It's sloppy Star Wars, but Star Wars.
Star
So,
Wars.
who do we want to start with? You want to start with So last episode we went off an article that I had written a few years back on 7 things why the Phantom Menace isn't as bad as you may think. Kind of, what I liked about the
You have
movie.
similar points here?
This was kind of more on a whim, but I just jotted them down.
All right, let's do
You
it.
would start there, and
I kind of. This is just. Yeah, I'm not,
Okay.
I don't have any structure.
just kind of notes.
This just to remind me of things to rag on, basically.
Okay. So first point, the assassination attempt early sets kind of a dark, intense tone.
It does.
Mm.
Why was it not Jango Fett? Why did Jango Fett, the bounty hunter, hire a different bounty hunter? That never works for me.
I don't know. It never
I mean,
bothered
there's
me.
a lot of particulars about that story that are like why was it done this way? This doesn't quite make sense. It seems needlessly complicated.
The handoff for him to hire another assassin, another bounty hunter, just didn't feel like it made any sense to me.
Because he was there.
He was there.
Because I was just thinking, because they didn't want him to leave Camino, but
Yeah,
but
he was
he
there. He
did.
was on
But
the
he
plane, yeah.
did leave.
Weird.
I never thought about that. I don't know. That didn't bother me.
Sticks out to me like a sore thumb every time I watch it.
Yeah,
But that's me.
But I know
agree
there
with
was I know there was a lot of stuff that that was kind of supposed to be both in this movie and in the prequels. A lot of kind of plots that were kind of cut short, like the whole what's the person who ordered the clone army? What's their name?
Sifo Dyas?
Sifo Dyas. There was supposed to be Sifo Dyas was actually supposed to appear at one point.
Yeah,
in the
wouldn't it be
prequels.
cool if we knew anything about him?
Yeah, and like
Episode 3 definitely was meant to do that, and I know Lucas had these plans, so I don't know really what happened.
Yeah, and like I know that episode 3 had there was supposed to be this whole battle scene in the beginning that didn't end up coming to fruition. But I wonder if that's a similar case with Zam Wessel. Isn't that the name of the assassin? Right.
Yes.
I wonder if that was supposed to be something different. It just
But I do agree. I do like the way that I do like the tone that set for the movie. It was dark. It was cool. I like that. But that was the one thing that stood out for me as like, wow, you have this cool character. He's the father, or not the father, but the clone of You know,
Yeah.
You know,
It's
especially
cool.
coming after Phantom Menace, which was, I would say boring and kiddie more so, a lot of it. Coming out of the gate with something it seems a little darker in tone, and you're kicking it off with some action right away. Just that in itself, I feel like probably started on a better foot for a lot of people. So
I thought I'm not at all comparing this to the quality of Empire Strikes Back. However, the tone you kind of feel like throughout Empire, where it's kind of
a dark movie.
it's dark.
foreboding.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. I felt like there was a little element of that in Attack of the Clones, and it was kind of helped with that point. Now, it doesn't remain dark throughout, as there are kind of lulls, and it can be all over the place at times. But I feel like for the most part, it was that way. So, point number 2 is the Coruscant speeder chase. I enjoy that. I know people, especially looking at the CG of it, are not going to like it if you didn't like it at all.
Is that
But
right after the assassination? Is that
like when Obi-Wan jumps through the window
Yeah.
after
Oh my
they
God.
they
that might be my favorite part of the movie.
I love the kind of the imagery there on Coruscant. I love some of the banter between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Me too.
Like we see what their relationship looks like, because we didn't really know at that point.
I think that's the most development we get with that relationship in the entire prequel trilogy.
It's the most father-son like that they appear, which is kind of funny because in episode 3 they shift more towards brothers.
Yeah.
But I really like that chase.
Ballsy move for Obi-Wan to just jump out of the window, assuming he's going to catch on that drone, because that's like thousands of stories. And Jedi can't fly.
I think in terms of speeder chases, I feel like the opening of Solo did it better.
Very different. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
don't
that-
agree.
I never caught. Yeah, it's not quite this. It's not really a fair.
I think this was kind
comparison,
of meant to show off the CG and the colorful nightlife of.
This is
Coruscant
when-
was the
And
planet.
establish Anakin a little bit, because we haven't seen him as a Jedi or in action yet.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so at that point we've only seen him as a young boy and then creeping on Padme.
And I watched it yesterday on Disney Plus in 4K, and it actually kind of does hold up. I don't think the CG is that offensive at all.
Interesting.
but fair enough.
And I'm usually one of the bigger defenders of it. But hey, I'll take it. Point number 3. I think you guys will agree with this. Specifically, Kenobi versus Jango in the rain on Kamino.
Very cool.
I like it. I really like it.
I thought that whole sequence was wonderful. I also like Jango Fett more than Boba Fett. People kind of hate on me for that.
I
I
could
don't-
see that. I could see that.
I can't see it the other way.
That's my argument.
What is Boba? I'm sorry.
That's my argument.
We'll get into Boba Fett.
I mean,
On these
yeah.
Mandalorians these days.
Oh, boy.
My gosh.
But I mean, plus I think that that
Plus.
the Netflix the Boba's origin in Attack of the Clones made him. It took some of the. Oh gosh, it's 20%. What? The origin of Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones, I think, took away some of his cool factor as well, because it took away some of the mystique, and Django is kind of still has Tamir Morrison's good stuff, and he's able to kind of carry something of an enigmatic thing with that character, even though you see his face and everything. So, and his name is Django, which is just a wonderful. That's even before Django Unchained, a reference to the old Franco Nero westerns. I could. I've never really thought about it, I guess, but there's strength to that argument.
I loved Tamara's whole presence throughout. I also think about what he established here. Like, he established really the voice for the clones and the Clone Wars animated series and a lot of content that came after that. Tamara Morrison voiced Django in the video game Bounty Hunter, which is really cool to me.
Really good, yeah.
I just got that from Limited Run Games, the PS4 version of
yes.
that.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool. He did voice work in something else. It might have been one of the original Battlefront games. I don't know if this is accurate, so I might be wrong. But Battlefront 2, I thought he did the voice work for the clones in that game. So anyway, he kind of established a lot here with just this one appearance. But I loved his getting back to this point here. That whole sequence on Kamino. The music that plays with it instantly comes into my head, that kind of upbeat, intense, heavy driving beat that John Williams produced. This all leads into my second point, which is Kenobi and versus Django Part 2. So the space battle.
Yeah,
I love that battle.
Oh, yeah, that's also a highlight with those seismic charges.
Do you remember sitting in the theater for
Yes,
that?
I do.
I remember being almost like bracing myself for the next one, because it was loud.
Yeah, it was. That was seeing that in the theater, you had a whole crowd full of people with that same kind of feeling that and it was
It got very quiet and then very loud.
it was that's a highlight. Yeah.
I love that whole space battle. I love seeing the Slave One in action, which we really didn't. I mean, we saw it fly around in Empire.
Yeah, I get. I think
That's a cool ship.
I think the ongoing rivalry with Jango in this movie is a lot stronger than the ongoing rivalry with Darth Maul in Phantom Menace. So I think.
Between him and Obi-Wan, you're saying?
Or I guess it would be
Qui-Gon.
between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul
I can
because
see
he's
that.
the one who has multiple fights with him.
It is better developed, I think. In
I
this
understand
movie.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
there's
Maul's
more of
cooler
a
character, but-
firm plot tied to it is because
100%.
Obi-Wan is chasing this lead and Jango's involved, whereas it's just more vague in Phantom Menace.
What about when Jango faces Mace Windu there at the end? What do you guys think of that sequence?
I remember at the time, people. I remember people perceiving Jango to be like a second chance on the things that they didn't like as much about Boba Fett, including how he died. Because at the time, that was this was after EU and everything, where Boba Fett was allegedly still alive. But it was. I remember people in the theater thinking it was really cool having such like a kind of bombastic and theatrical death, being just beheaded by Mace Windu. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he could have gone on a bit longer, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I really liked it. I also like kind of the explanation, because at first you're like, why didn't he fly away? Because the jetpack got damaged there when he got trampled by I don't remember the name of the creature there in the execution arena.
Yeah.
But there really wasn't a huge emotional impact for us for Boba Fett, because we don't see Boba Fett again in these prequel movies.
Right. Yeah.
John, what did you think?
It was okay.
Yeah.
Didn't stand out to me. I didn't really like that. I didn't like the third act of this movie very much at all. So that final battle, it
It's
just
kind of
doesn't do it for me. CG really doesn't hold up. I didn't think any of the choreography was necessarily great. And
I agree.
it just kind of was a little sour to me.
So that kind of leads into another point. The execution arena sequence that sets the groundwork for the Clone Wars, kind of how Jango set the groundwork for the clones and all of the different content we've gotten throughout the years. I thought this did a nice job establishing that for the Clone Wars series. I love pretty much everything from the moment the executions are about to begin. Even just a little bit of banter again between Obi-Wan just kind of being sarcastic when he tells Anakin good job, and Padme seems to be on top of things. It works out to me because it's Ewan McGregor. They could have delivered that wrong. But overall, I also love seeing all the lightsabers in action. That was a revelation. Like, you never had seen more than 2 or 3 lightsabers in a movie, and now
Yeah.
you've got all
Yeah.
of these.
I think it could have and should have been so much cooler. But I do get the moment behind it.
Yeah, I just, for me, that's one of the least impactful lightsaber battles, because it's all, we've talked about, like, my favorite lightsaber battles are the ones with a real heavy emotional gravity, like Luke and Vader in Return of the Jedi. But yeah, this one has like the least emotional gravity. It doesn't have like necessarily the choreography of the Phantom Menace battle either. So it was.
Yeah, but was there a single moment throughout that entire sequence we saw 2 Jedi work together? It was all just one-on-one, like
There's one
about
where
the-
Mace Windu and Obi-Wan are back to back, but
barely. There,
it's a quick shot.
They just
all
happened to be there
kinda-
at the same time.
Yeah, it's all just, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I
been
would have
random.
loved a nice little
Or maybe
Force
different
assist
like
or something
styles
like that,
of
you know?
lightsaber for the there's different styles of there's different life forms, different kind of alien Jedi and everything. I feel like some of them could have had not the standard lightsaber, maybe a dual, other. It could be all kinds of
Yeah. And,
variations of lightsabers out
Lucas didn't get crazy with that stuff in the prequels, but I think that even just like a fighting style, just do some different stuff.
there. Yeah.
Team up a little bit. Give me something, and it didn't
Yeah.
deliver for me at least.
How about
Yeah.
Mace Windu's purple lightsaber?
Oh, I mean, I'm talking like form factor.
I know,
Oh,
but
yeah, I
I'm
think
just
it's
saying,
segue,
what did you
right?
guys think of that?
Oh,
That's cool.
I love
well, yeah.
it.
Was that not in Phantom Menace?
No.
Well, it was in probably the merchandise though, right?
I don't think so. It was a
No,
reveal
so
for
I
two.
have a
Yeah.
I have a
Oh.
Mace Windu episode 1 lightsaber, which
Okay.
didn't. I mean, he had like one on his hilt, but it didn't exist in the movie really.
Uh-huh.
And it's blue. So they did not make it,
Well,
and the hilt is
then.
different in 1 than it is in 2, where it's got like it's Sam Jackson all over it, right? Like it's flashy, it's loud, it's really, it looks great, honestly.
Okay.
But anyway, the purple blade was a Sam Jackson thing. Like
Yeah.
he
I-
begged
yeah.
Lucas
I do
to
remember
have
that. I just
That-
thought it was for Phantom Menace.
That
yeah.
kind of ruins that for me, which is I know I'm really salty on a lot of this stuff, but I wish like the colors meant something. I wish there was more lore behind that.
There actually is.
I know there
they've
is. if
surely
you-
I don't want to do
They've
this.
surely
but-
built lore
if
around
you
it,
dig
yeah.
for it, it's there. But I wish like we got a little of that in these films. You know, like we see in this scene, we see so many different lightsabers, and like they're especially someone like Sam Jackson, that purple stands out so much. I wish we got something about that. Obviously not in the middle of that scene, but I wish we got a little bit, and that's a nitpick for sure.
For what it's worth, I know you got to read outside of the movies to see it, but like there was this thing that George Lucas explained that led into there was like a Mace Windu novel, and it was that this purple lightsaber was representing a lightsaber form that was like dangerously close to like being a dark side form, and that it was purple in that respect.
Yeah.
Which
And
yeah.
I don't feel like that reflects in his character necessarily, but yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So moving on, I know you guys don't like it. I love the lightsaber duel or the lightsaber battle between Kenobi and Anakin and the different phases of it, and Dooku, and then Yoda coming in. I was a big fan of it.
This lightsaber battle, I feel is like it works really well for trailers because if you catch like a quick flash of it, there's just like one little thing where you see Anakin like with both sabers kind of spinning around and that. But for like drawn out for the whole scene, it's kind of monotonous, I think. So I
Yeah.
feel like it has good little moments.
He doesn't have the two lightsabers very long.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
I'm saying in
Oh,
quick clips,
I understand.
it's entertaining, but drawn out, it doesn't really hold up.
Yeah, if somebody cut a trailer for this fight, you can make it look cool, but
yeah.
as it plays, it really.
Because I remember those individual moments being in and like when they're waving their lightsabers around with Anakin and
it's so
and
bad.
when it's like dark, you watch 1 second of that. I'm like, oh, what's,
you
what's
see-
the
you
big?
see one
but
spin
then
and that's,
you watch
oh.
the movie. I'm like, oh, they're just doing that
just
for 10
keeps doing-
seconds, and it's just
there's
waving
no,
it around.
No
There's-
reason for any of that.
Yeah, so
I think Dooku is my least favorite lightsaber fighter ever.
They
lightsaber
did have a
fight-
reason for that, by the way, and it
Because he
was
was old?
yes, because of Christopher Lee's age. So he was not able to do, and you can very well tell his stunt double
Yeah.
in a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was what?
There is
80?
a lot. Oh man.
Yeah, but they cast him. I don't think it's fair to say that they had a reason for that, and the reason was he was old. Like, cast somebody younger who can do it.
And
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, Count Dooku. There's a lot about Count Dooku. I like kind of what we get of his character, even though that's another character that in supplemental material has done better justice. But I like just kind of some of the presence that he brings. I love Christopher Lee, and the curved hilt lightsaber is maybe my favorite like spin-off lightsaber. Maybe I guess of the prequels, maybe not counting like Kylo Ren, but the curved hilt is just that has such an air of kind of sophistication and kind of old world.
And he's this fancy
fighting.
sword fighter.
Yeah, I just I love the curved hilt. I
That is
think
a
it's
great
one of
one.
the coolest lightsabers. So,
I did have that lightsaber growing up as well.
but I don't really like the Yoda thing.
I did,
I do too.
and
I
That
don't.
redeemed it a little bit for me.
our theater went insane for it.
Ours did too, and in the moment that is really fun to watch. But
Sure.
in retrospect, I don't feel like it really adds anything to his character.
I love it because
Like-
you kind of finally see why Yoda's like this badass, right?
I can see the
But-
other angle where
But he's all about
the mind.
Yes,
the
he's
force over.
He's kind
force.
of he's always
True, but he's gonna fight when he has to
he's
fight.
just
Is my
above
thing.
and it just seems like he's above that to me. He's just in another level of being able to kind of defend himself and use the force. But I don't know. I don't know. How is in your perception? How is that scene aged? Do most people like it or not like it, or
It's not bad. I mean, you mean age in terms
like
of interpretation?
general perception? Like
I
from, like-
think most people would side with you.
okay,
Yeah, probably.
okay.
I think it was cool. I mean,
I still love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that was a moment in the theater went nuts. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. But
I buy where Josiah comes from, where like, okay, this is how good a Yoda is. Like, he is the master. I see both sides of it, but I kind of lean towards that side where it's like, all right, he's the best of the best.
He's for a long time he's kind of been like my favorite light side character. I just Yoda. I don't know what it is since even seeing him in like when he debuted in Empire. From that point on, I just always loved him. So for me, I was like, oh my gosh, we're finally kind of seeing this.
Empire Yoda is that's my favorite Yoda. The kind of like a little bit messed up and alone for decades Yoda.
Little senile.
That's my favorite Yoda. We'll get to that
Silly
later.
little-
but-
Get to that in a few episodes, folks.
yeah,
Or we could just talk about Pete.
I thought we were.
Oh man.
So my last point here is again, it's such an easy one, but with John Williams' score, I actually love the theme he put together for the love theme.
Across the galaxy, across the stars. What is the love theme? Is
I don't actually know what it's called.
it's either across the galaxy or across the stars. It's not across the universe. That's the Beatles. But I agree. It's another one of those wonderful prequel themes. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. John Williams in general, we know, is great from so many different things. But in just about any movie, and even in a lot of video games, music is one thing I really feed off of and pay attention. And what are they trying to tell us with this? Are they trying to set this kind of tone? Did they play that little bit of that song when they were earlier in the movie? It really tells a story if you pay attention to it. In this one, obviously, the love story kind of falls flat, but Williams did his part. That's
Yes.
that's my point with all of it.
Well put. Yeah,
he did what he had to
I
do.
wish the love story lived up to that theme.
If only
Yeah.
it did, it would have been beautiful. So,
Yeah.
that's really all I had for kind of my list of going through stuff. John, do you want to kind of go through just some of your notes here?
Sure. Title, this wasn't a good movie. First scene, bad chemistry, really forced love. Anakin is really creepy, like really, really creepy. The line where she's like, "You've grown. You have too. More beautiful for a senator." Like, it was just so bad. Like, way to excuse it. That's like we've seen movies where somebody is dumbfounded in love and it's awkward. That wasn't that. He was creepy, very creepy. Jedi aren't supposed to be in love. Why? That doesn't fit anything. Any of the other Jedi lore. They just tell us that in this movie. Doesn't really add
I think
up.
if you're equating, it makes enough kind of a sense from a cultural mindset that if they're basically supposed to be like monks or priests,
Right.
like celibate, it makes sense. I think it makes enough sense just kind of assuming that. For me, anyway.
I agree with it.
I didn't like it.
I was a monk for years though, so I can't really.
Fair enough.
I have kind of a bias.
Yeah, I don't have that experience to draw from. I think Anakin's flip to the dark side's a little abrupt. Obviously, he didn't fully flip yet, but we know where it's going. And I think the roots of that, besides his mother, I think that's pretty well founded. But the whole, this is Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous of me. Like, what? That
That
where
comes
did
out
that
of that.
come from?
I mean the unleashing and rage at the Tusken Raiders. I feel like that works well.
Sure.
Oh, yeah,
But
we
the
haven't talked about
turning
that.
against Obi-Wan thing
It
is
does-
abrupt. Yeah.
came out of nowhere, and I think that's supposed to be like another huge piece of ammo for him to turn to the dark side. It just doesn't work for me.
I love that Tusken Raider sequence.
Yeah, me too.
I-
even like
I like it a lot. I think
and like looking back on how he like
As a whole.
talks to Padme about it, he's saying like he slaughtered them like animals. It's like he's beginning to get a mindset of like somebody who could sympathize with the Emperor and like think of certain kinds of people as like below him, and it's kind of like getting that kind of dictatorship mentality a little bit. And he even mentions that earlier. It's not as well, but like in when he's talking about that. People should be made to believe a certain thing, and Padme says that's a dictatorship and everything. It's again, that's like an interesting idea that wasn't pulled off quite as well, but
some of it works. I mean, that's specifically the.
They lays the groundwork on him slaughtering the younglings to
Yeah.
an extent as well, right? He had
Sure. He's
almost
already-
no problem
yeah.
with just killing this entire village of Tusken Raiders, regardless of who they were.
The women, the children.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
Right, yeah.
there's a little bit there.
Yep, some of that worked for me. That part definitely did. This people who have seen this movie and have the nerve to call Kylo Ren an angsty, emotional teen should be ashamed of themselves. Anakin in this movie is like that goes back to him just flipping on Obi-Wan for no reason, just getting like ridiculously, irrationally emotional when when it's not really necessary.
having a well written character and having an acting performance coming from Adam Driver make a big difference with
This is
building up your angsty teen.
this
No
is
doubt.
kind of what they wanted probably for Anakin, right?
Yeah, that's
Sure.
the
like
thing,
Kylo
yeah.
Ren is what
Kylo
we
Ren-
got.
That's
No.
that's what I see it as. Like Kylo Ren is kind of like what Anakin could have been.
He plays it a lot better, and there's probably a lot better direction to it. Adam Driver's wonderful.
Sure,
Yeah.
and I think what maybe works about that better is that we saw badass Kylo Ren first. We saw the first scene of Episode 7. Kylo Ren is menacing. The first quarter of that movie, Kylo Ren is menacing. We don't see those flaws until later, and that it kind of just delayers him. Whereas this is like Anakin's on that trajectory, and he just gets more intolerable as he gets.
And even with him not taking off his mask until really towards the end of the movie with the Rey interrogation scene,
Yeah,
right?
That was
so
about
like,
halfway through. But
so you don't really. I mean that's a big reveal because
Yeah.
at that point we didn't know if we were ever going to see Kylo Ren's face.
for sure.
Didn't even know if he was human or not.
I
Right.
didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So that was fun. That wasn't fun, I should say. I did like overall the whole Tatooine thing in general. I liked him going back. I liked him visiting his mother and getting revenge.
I like
and
the
kind of-
imagery of him riding the I don't know if it's
speeder.
speeder bike or is,
Yeah.
or is it a swoop bike?
I couldn't
The
tell
swoop
ya.
bikes have those humps, but yeah, I mean that's drawing straight out of I don't know if it's specific, just general kind of like Easy Rider or like riding the motorcycle down the desert. This kid running away from home or whatever it is. It's drawing on that kind of cultural
sure.
imagery.
I thought it was a nice tie-in to. I mean, what do you guys think? I thought it was nice how they tied the Lars family in.
Oh, I have that written here. That's
oh,
actually
yeah,
what I was gonna say. I love seeing Owen and Brew. I thought that was really cool.
Totally,
And
yeah.
you get to actually see that. Okay, that's Anakin's stepbrother. Like that,
Yeah.
Get a little bit of that family. We didn't get any of that in the original trilogy. We just knew that. Oh, that's Luke's uncle. That's all we need to know, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
So this was some cool backstory. Obi-Wan and Kamino was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. Geonosis is weird. The conveyor belt scene is, I think.
Oh, not good.
Well,
Yeah.
Have you
there's
seen
a
behind the
reason you
scenes
guys
on
haven't
that?
Talked about that. Is it?
I don't-
He thought of he came up with that on the drive to the set. Is that what you're going
So
with?
Natalie Portman specifically, like they gave her, I don't know, like probably less than 10-foot long conveyor belt, like an actual one, and it's up against green screen,
Oh, who is it?
and she literally was making it up as she went.
It's
Which you can tell,
It's
especially.
so
But now
bad.
that you know that, watch it again,
It
and
does-
you'll be like, "Oh my gosh!"
there's nothing fun about it. It is.
It seems like a sequence that's made to be a video game level.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh,
ironic.
and it's a
'cause there-
perfect video game level.
Because there wasn't. Oh well. I mean, like there was Lego Star Wars, and there was like a Game Boy Advance Attack of the Clones game, but there wasn't like a proper big.
They didn't have a tie-in like the Phantom
that's when
Menace.
the tie-in started to
on
die
PS1.
off, or Revenge of the Sith.
Isn't it weird that they skipped Attack of the Clones but did 1 and 3?
It is weird. Yeah. I mean,
And then
these-
episode 3, the game came out a month before the movie.
Yeah. Oh.
Again,
yeah,
that we
and
talked
was
about.
good. I really like that game, but we'll talk.
Yeah,
about
that was fun.
Yeah.
I have it.
Yeah.
And then that's all I really have. I just summed it up with the third act was very boring. That's where I'm at with it. So it's just
It's kind of bad because you feel like the climax is one place and then it goes to another thing, and it's kind of it's just weirdly paced.
yeah. I feel like the movie. So if you were to look at just like a chart of this movie and its climax, I feel like it starts here, has a small spike, and it just maintains the entire time, and just maintains, and maybe at the end
I
kinda
feel
goes down
it's
a
so
little bit.
different. I
Yeah.
feel like there's ebbs and flows with it. Like the high points
Yeah.
for me are exciting, and there's downtime with the
Yeah.
love story.
And I can objectively point at them, but I just don't feel that when I watch the movie. It's just very.
That's fair.
I'm in the same headspace the whole time, and I'm like, when's the next
Yeah.
track?
I'm a bit
'Cause I-
more with Josiah on that, but
No,
yeah.
just that's where I'm at.
All right.
All right, so
Little break ski.
yeah, for this episode, or do you want to wrap this episode up?
Oh, do we want to wrap it up?
I don't know. What else do we got to talk
I think
about?
we're there.
I think
Oh,
we're there
okay.
too.
I think we're there.
All right then.
Yeah, so we want to know what you think about Attack of the Clones. It's going to rank low on a lot of lists here, and we'll reveal kind of our rankings here in just a second. But let us know whether it's in the comments at youtube.com/thegeekiverse or at facebook.com/thegeekiverse. We'd love to get into a conversation. There are currently, as of recording this, 3 Geekiverse members who have ranked these movies and put them on the website. So myself, Kelly, who we mentioned earlier, and then Lou Matuza, who's the host of Drafting with Drafts, our new show in conjunction with Community Beer Works. So, fellas, I'm going to put up some graphics or give you some graphics for this, Seth, by the
Sure,
way.
sure.
But where does this rank on your list? John, you may have to alter yours, right?
Last.
Whoa.
There's the GIF.
Whoa.
Okay, so we've got John at 10, and it bumps or 11.
Yeah,
Ten-
yeah.
Phantom
10,
Menace was
10,
a 10
sorry.
It
last,
was.
last time.
That's what when we opened the show. I said I got caught up, and you guys got me on your side, and you got me caught up in the hate for that movie, which is still very well valid. But
Wait
I
a minute.
forgot.
Whoa,
We coursed you
whoa.
into it. Okay.
Like we
brought it
for-
out in me.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I'm not saying you were on the same page as me. I'm saying that your points made me hate it even more.
In spite of your love of Jake Lloyd and Jingle All the Way, we forced you to hate this bad movie. Yes. No.
Not what I'm saying, but yeah, just rewatching. It's just, again, I'll say it again. The lows were just as low, and I didn't have the highs personally. It just felt very boring, very drawn out, and yeah, that's where. And again, that's just my summary of the movie. There's a lot that I liked in it. Same with episode 1. There's a lot of Star Wars in there. Well, it's not like I'm gonna never watch this movie again. I bought it. I own it. And I got Disney Plus now. It's in 4K. I'm gonna watch it again.
Seth, Let's have you go next.
Yes. So I had last time Phantom Menace was a 10, and 10 it stays because this is number 9. I think that Attack of the Clones is a messier movie than the Phantom Menace.
Whoa.
It starts to overuse the CGI, which
You guys are gonna love where I put it.
Phantom Menace had more sets, had more practical costumes, and Attack of the Clones starts to go off the deep end with the CG and everything. But it's more interesting to watch. It's more fun. It feels like more of an adventure. I feel like some of the stuff going on with the antagonists, with Dooku and Jango, are stronger than what Phantom Menace had going on. It's not great. It is in fact bad, but it's I think a step
Debatable.
up from Phantom Menace. Yeah. What do you got to say?
So my list, Phantom Menace remains in the 10 slot. No movement there. For the longest time, this was my favorite of the prequels, but recently that is changed. So my Star Wars rankings do change, by the way, as time goes on. Slightly. Not
Yeah.
like anything drastic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And as other movies come out, it kind of changes my perceptions of those, which is a little odd. But for example, like I always loved A New Hope, but Rogue One took it to a new
Yeah,
level.
it
for
enhances
me.
that movie.
Like it
for
makes
sure.
A New Hope even better for me.
There's people who feel the opposite, which
Sure. That's one example. Anyway, Attack of the Clones, I have it at 7.
7.
You're gonna have to watch the next few episodes at least to find out.
Look at this. There's like
So much residue. It's
there's
amazing.
like pulpy residue. Like this is a serious. It's like somebody like farmed this.
I really thought he was gonna spill that.
There are literal tons of fruit. In
There's
this
like
beer, it's insane.
No, it's stained. It's gonna be red. Okay, so yeah, number 7 is where I have it.
Number 7.
Uh huh.
Wow. Okay.
Uh huh. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I know someone else at the Geekiverse who has it higher.
What's that person's name?
I can't tell you.
Cut the feed. Let's get out of here.
So we'd love to know your Star Wars ranking. Again, leave it at facebook.com/thegeekiverse or youtube.com/thegeekiverse. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Hindsight, a Star Wars series. We've got at least 8 more of these. That's right. 8 more of these. So if you enjoyed this, you can listen to it on iTunes and SoundCloud, or you can go and watch us on YouTube. He's Cap Amerikanski on Twitter. He's Disruptoid. I'm Josiah D. Leroy. Again, thank you for watching and listening. We'll catch you for Revenge of the Sith.